Welcome to the Playbook. This is David Meltzer, and I'm so excited because this is someone that I've known a long time. And I always say everything happens at the right place at the perfect time. Eric Thomas is a mentor to all. He is a master of mindset. He has helped every celebrity, company, and so many other people pursue their potential and reach it. Eric Thomas, ET, welcome to the Playbook.
Man, thank you for having me. Hey, just the term alone, I'm starting to value the playbook at this age more than playing. And I wish I would have I wish I'd have been more of a structural, analytical, critical thinker when I was younger. But I got it now. The playbook, Dave, is important.
It's so important. And, I learned at a later age as well. It cost me over $100 million to figure out maybe I should have a playbook because I thought that the plays were making me the money.
Ah, ah,
And I, and I wish I would have had a playbook. And you've written, so many great books, and your podcast is really another form of a playbook, right? It's the secrets of success. The playbook, as I call it, to success. But now you ventured into something that's even deeper in that playbook. And one of my mentors told me early on, he said, you know what your problem is, Dave? You got to learn to love you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't understand it when he said it. And here you are teaching people to learn to love you. And You Owe You Summit is coming up, your book, because you owe it to yourself. It is about learning to love ourselves. Why is it so hard, even for successful, passionate, purposeful, and profitable people to learn to love themselves?
Because the love of self is not isolated, from, you know, um, others' thoughts and, in the peer group, and keeping up with the Joneses, and people valuing you, or affirming you, or, it's this whole idea of a sense of belonging. It's real. Maslow talked about it. You got safety, then right after safety is really you wanting to be a part of, you wanting, to be in a community or a group, you wanting to be loved and valued. And sometimes when you love yourself, people don't always um, they don't always value that or appreciate that. And because we want to be loved by people so much, I think sometimes we're even willing to sacrifice our own love for the love of others.
And as we look at that love of others, we also look for approval.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest lines that I heard is, hey, man, what you think of me is none of my business. And I love that saying, but I have lived my life trying to please other
Ah,
people. I've
ah.
been putting myself in a trajectory of what other people want for me, what's missing, what I don't have. How important is it that we start to understand what we want and apply it to the better good and apply it to our best self?
I think, when you talk playbook, I think it's the forward. you know, I
Nice.
think it's the forward. You know what I'm saying? Before you even start the book, I think we are only as successful as we see ourselves. We are only as productive as we believe we have the ability to be. And I don't know why, but at a very young age, we start external, we start others. Like we don't start self, we don't start internally. We don't ever ask ourselves, what do we think about ourselves? What do we believe about ourselves? It's funny, Dave. My son had our floors are being renovated in our home in Cali, and so my daughter went and stayed with her brother. They're both adults, but she was staying with her brother, and he called me and was like, "Dad, I had some friends over, and like she just didn't, Dad, it was weird. She wasn't hanging out, she wasn't whatever." And I tried to bring some friends over so she could. And I said, "Son, your sister loves herself, and she doesn't have a
Yes.
problem being by herself, and she doesn't have a problem entertaining herself. And like you need others, like you need to be surrounded by other people to have a good time. Your sister has a party of one, like your sister can literally have a party of one." So I was like, "Oh, don't see that as a negative, or don't be bothered by that. But your sister actually loves herself enough to be by herself. She's charged by being by herself. Like she doesn't need to be with 8 other people to get charged. And so I just think it's critical, for us to understand that we actually attract greater when we love ourselves. We actually attract greater opportunities, greater people. You know, we don't get in as much trouble. We have more purpose. We like life is just better when you love you, when you value you, when you appreciate you.
And a relationship is formed not only with self, but there's another relationship that's critical. And I love your insight that you give. As I see pain or setbacks, failures, and mistakes, I probably have paid more dummy tax than most people on earth. And I've learned to have a relationship with pain. And you have some great insight on how to have that relationship and how to deal with pain.
You know, I tell people I have noticed that let's say people who are in the bodybuilding industry or in the fitness building, you don't get muscle without resistance. Like I've just never seen it before. I've never, seen people not lift weights or not push-ups or sit-ups. Like I've never seen people have a certain body structure without resistance, and then the more weight, the more defined or the more reps, meaning the more pain that they put themselves through. You know what I'm saying? Like 100 reps of pain, 200 reps of pain. Somebody sent me something that's like, E, stop what you're doing right now and do 100 jumping jacks. I was like, oh no, I'm good. But I understand now that people who embrace resistance through weights, or whatever they do to their body, they're going to be defined. Their body's going to look different, And so pain in life is a rep, and there are some things that blessings can do for us. Let's just be honest. There are some things that blessings can do for us, but there are also things that, a battle will do for us. There's a way that a blessing will bless you. There's a way that a battle will bless you. And I was told a story last week. I was literally in Houston. I went to a friend's house to wash. I was a 5-minute Uber ride from the hotel, a 30-minute walk. And I literally washed my clothes, put my clothes in a suitcase, and I walked that suitcase 30 minutes to the hotel. And there were literally people who saw me on the street, was like, E.T., you need a ride? I was like, absolutely not. They was like, why don't you want to ride? I said, because being the #1 motivational speaker in the world is not how I became the #1 motivational speaker in the world. I literally became this from being homeless and walking up and down the streets of Detroit. So what I cannot do is no longer do the things that got me to where I am. Now I don't have to do them in the way that I did them before. And I get to control a little bit more of that. But pain has really developed me in a way. Now, I think it's so funny when people who value my voice, like the tone of my voice, and they try to mimic it by getting loud. I'm like, no, you have to understand that passion is not coming just from volume. That passion is coming from the pain. And so I speak with the authority that I speak with, because not only did I go through the pain that you've gone through, but I got out of the pain that many of us have gone through. And so my Ph.D. does not give me certain authority, but being homeless, being a high school dropout, being a father, being a husband, being a CEO, there's, like you said, the dummy tax. I have authority because I not only experienced it, but I got on the other side of it. And now I feel like I have the confidence to talk to people in a way that's very authentic, because I literally just didn't read it in the book, because I did read a lot of stuff from a book. I just didn't read it from a book. I actually also experienced it. So I think this is why pain is important, because a battery, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, is not just positive. Like a battery is not just, I know you want it to be just positive, but a battery is both negative, has negative and positive attributes. And it is the balance of those positive and negative attributes that allows it to give you the energy that you actually get to power whatever you need to power. So in our personal lives, battles and blessings are positive and negative attributes that give us the fire and the charge, and the motivation that we need to go through life successfully.
Yeah, and just like a battery, you yourself with the positive and negative charges, you reconcile and find the blessings in
Yes.
the battle, and you can also find battles within the blessing. Now, you and I share one other thing. I see you as the greatest inspirational speaker. Your frequency is off the chart. You can't walk into a room and not feel ET speaking. And I know that it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's how make people feel, as Michelangelo always said. They'll remember how they feel when you're on stage, which makes you the best at it. But you and I share this, and I see it. We're not the most talented, right?
Right.
We're not at all. But I have blessed myself. I was an average Division III football player, but I was the most consistent. Man, I could step on a field because I showed up every single day, doing my best, learning lessons and having fun. And I keep showing up every single day. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here on this Zoom in this podcast. How important is the value of doing stuff every single day, doing your best? I call it empty milers, right? Because just real quick, like it pisses me off. I see people all the time. They say, "Dave, I went the extra mile. I stayed up till 2 a.m. on Monday." I was like, dude, you got to go the extra mile every day, and then there's no competition. You'll be where ET is. When you go the extra mile every day, that consistency to me is a superpower combined with all other things.
Yeah, I think one of the mistakes I made earlier in life is giving more value to the things that don't have the highest value. So for me, I thought talent was the highest value. So of course, if you think that's the highest value, then that's where you're going to spend the majority of your time. As life progressed, I started to realize that a lot of the people who I thought were successful weren't successful just because they were the most talented, but they had other attributes. And I started to recognize, like, yo, these are just as powerful. And as a matter of fact, as you get older, certain talents, low hanging fruit. Like you get older, you don't run as fast. You don't jump as high. You don't have the same, energy perhaps that you had. You still have energy. It's a different type of energy. So I started to realize, like, yo, Eric, you need to start focusing on the stuff that you can do and that's timeless. Like, yo, talent is timeless. Like, I don't care how good Michael Jordan is. Every year that you play, like, you're not the best version of yourself than you were when you were at North Carolina.